Hello and welcome to another Driven Catalyst live stream. It is my favorite day of the week, New Music Friday, and I have been alluding to today all week. I've been saying, okay, we're going to talk about the new Hayley Williams singles that just dropped. I have done the promised research, but initially I really committed myself to talking about the new Hayley Williams singles because I knew personally that I had been really severely anticipating the new Ethel Cain album also, and I knew that was the headspace and world I was going to be in. But I knew both because it's not really Ethel Cain's not really an artist talking about at work makes sense, but also it is like an hour and 10-minute long album, so there was just no way we were going to be able to cover everything. And I'm going to be totally honest, at this point I have listened to Waco, Texas. It's my top streamed track of the last 6 months. So we are going to talk about Waco, Texas. I'm going to hit the highlights, my favorite parts. I've done the promised Hayley Williams research. We're going to talk about that. And then today is just a ridiculously good day for album releases. I started listening to the Field Medic album. I listened to the first song and was just kind of so in my own little world with what I wanted to listen to that I didn't get into it. But there's a Field Medic album, and then Ada Leah is another artist that I really I have history with and have loved, and so that had fallen by the wayside in terms of what I had been anticipating, and then today I logged on to Album of the Day, and I was just reeling. There's a lot of good releases out today. And then Conan Gray's Wishbone comes out next week. So it's just a great time for music. And I'm really excited, honestly, though, to talk about the new Hayley Williams music. So first and foremost, let's hit... Okay, hold on. Before... This is bullet point 0.5. Not first and foremost, but 0.5 and foremost. I linked the article that I got most of my information from. It's an album review. I linked it down below. So go read the source material. This is going to just be me town hall meeting style walking you through it. And by walking you through it, I mean I'm just going to talk. But so my first question was why put out the album not as an album, but instead in singles? And the best answer that I could find with minimal digging, a moderate amount of digging, I guess, a reasonable amount, is that it is a promotion. This was in accordance with Hayley Williams' hair dye company, Good Dye Young. She just released a new color. It's the neon yellow that you see on a lot of the album artwork or the singles artwork from this, I don't know, set of music. I don't know how to refer to it. A lot of people are calling it an album, and they're calling it Ego, which is the name of the shade released by Good Dye Young, which makes a lot of sense to me. So I'm going to live in that universe and proceed accordingly, based on that. But I'm going to hit the favorites, and then we will go elsewhere. Another new release, Bowery, a single by Zach Bryan and Kings of Leon. I immediately was like, whoa, Kings of Leon and Zach Bryan. And then, of course, the Bowery Hotel just has so much pop cultural lore. I don't know. So I was excited about that. That's a good listen. Again, there's just so much to listen to right now that I'll shout it out, but I won't get too deep into it. We'll keep it moving. But the way that I listened to Hayley Williams' new music was... Does she? Yeah. So there is a Spotify playlist posted by Hayley Williams. That's Hayley Williams, the playlist. And it has all the new singles right up top. I found, because I really love structure and rules, I looked up Genius lyrics and saw like what order they put them in, and then found someone else had made a Spotify playlist that had them in that order already. So I did that. I'm going to hit my faves. I pretty much saved all of them. If we want to, I guess, zoom back out, first and foremost, though, Hayley Williams, if you live under a rock, or you just don't know, which no shade, except I did just throw shade. Hayley Williams is the singer of superstar, critically acclaimed, beloved band Paramore. She put out her first solo album, Petals for Armor, circa 2020. Is that factual that that was her first? Yes. And then my favorites from Petals for Armor are Simmer. I think I love Cinnamon too. Wow, wait. I love a lot more of this album than I have internalized. I love Sudden Desire, Dead Horse, Roses, Lotus, Violet, Iris. It's not, you can't see it on Spotify. Like, it's not noted, but the Boy Genius girlies, the Boy Genius boys are on Roses, Lotus, Violet, Iris, which was kind of my introduction, not my introduction because I had already liked Paramore, but it was the impetus for me to really get excited and into Hayley Williams solo music. Yeah, okay, so those are my favorites from Petals for Armor. And I would say, not to compare the two, I feel like that's probably old and artists don't love that. But I would say, just in terms of like what I look for in music and how I enjoy an album, this album had more for me. I really liked it. So Blood Bros was immediately the one that stood out to me. Something that was interesting to me about the Paste article that I linked down below that I would not have thought of myself, but when I read it, I kind of listened to The Only Exception like right before or after. Like, I put them side by side, basically, sonically. And that was really interesting. But the Paste article makes comparison between Blood Bros and The Only Exception, which is cool. And the article cites particular lyrics like that, I guess, justify as to why those are nice counterparts, which makes me like Blood Bros more. But it already was like a top track for me. I really, really liked it. True Believer was the one that I had seen and heard clips of on TikTok, first and foremost. I don't have notes, but I should have notes. But this is a town hall. So someone else is presumably taking meeting notes. That's the way those work, right? But True Believer is the one that has quite a bit of everything that's going on in the world, which is the most irritating way to talk about anything, I know. But yeah, True Believer, I would say, engages with current events in a way that feels good to me. Dreamgirl and Shibuya was a favorite. Love Me Different, really liked that one. Hard and Whim, I feel like, are two that are well groomed for radio play. Feels weird to like boil something down like that. But yeah, Whim. Oh, and Zissou. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Ego Death at a Bachelor Party. Wow, I'm skipping over tracks. Basically, I really liked most of everything. But I would say Whim is like, if you're recommending a friend and they're only listening to one from the album and they like pop music, go with Whim. I guess I do have notes, but my notes are messages with a friend. There is a track that is a little bit Avril Lavigne, to cite my friend, but I would agree. Pardon me. Hold on. I think it's Disappearing Man. Yeah, Disappearing Man. And then I also, Disappearing Man's probably one of my favorites also. And then I Won't Quit on You is up there too. But like, let me look at the playlist I listened to all of these on. My least favorite is probably Mirtazapine, but it's like one of the top 5 popular on Hayley Williams Spotify. So that is something I'm like, frankly, I like it whenever one of the tracks that I'm like, it didn't really hit for me is doing really well. Cause to me, it's a sign of like, well, yeah, this is just a well-rounded album that most people are liking, you know? The Subway from Chapel Roan. I guess, did that come out last week on Friday? No way it's been out for a week. That's crazy. Oh, Ice in My OJ is another good one. Yeah, I know I've been saying it all week. I've said it on every live stream so far, but this is like a very, very solid album. And I can't really put a finger on why, but every time, like, I guess, for example, so I read this article, or I read the review that I linked below, and I feel like the review that I linked is very reiterative of the fact that, or I feel it's reiterative, I'm seeing it elsewhere, that this album is like sonically very experimental and like a big deal. Like, people just keep talking about how like Hayley Williams has a track record of being kind of a trailblazer, and that this is definitely like a continuation of that. And I talk about this all the time on live stream, that I am first and foremost just a fan, and I just love the music, and I like am enjoying listening to this music. And when I come on live, I'm not coming on live as an authority on the subject, but as like an evangelical, or an evangelist, not an evangelical. But something that I will say that is cool to me about the fact that everyone is lauding this album as sort of an experimental and triumphant and trailblazing work is that it doesn't, when I hear those words, usually I think I'm going to be listening to room tone and a lot of ambient buzz, like something that feels like I should like it, but I don't necessarily like it. And this album did not resonate with me in that way. This album, to me, I feel like you could play any of this in a coffee shop, on the radio, not in a, okay, we're listening to Mariah Carey's Christmas hits at Macy's over and over and over again way, but it's upbeat, it's accessible, it's really sonically interesting, but still like, it's not cacophonous in a way that I feel like sometimes music that is really lauded as trailblazing can be. Which again, I just feel very much speaks to the skill level and the acclaim that Hayley Williams has always had and continues to have. I think if I keep speaking on it, I'm going to overdo it. Say too much, or kind of just not be contributing much. So I think that's going to be the wrap on the new Hayley Williams. All I can really say is go listen to it. It's so good. I've been recommending it all week in my own life, in addition to talking about it on live stream and saying, okay, we'll talk about it Friday. So with that, we are going to now talk about, because I can't help myself. Like, it's pretty bad. There's like a scratch. There's like an itch in my brain that has to be scratched, and I have to talk about Waco, Texas, and the production in it, and just there's a couple parts of the song that the descent of the notes that Ethel hits are like insane, or Hayden. And we have to talk about it. I'm sorry. So first and foremost, I never thought I would be my favorite song is 15 minutes long kind of girl, but here we are. This is a 15-minute long track. It is the finale, the last track on the new album, Willoughby Tucker, I'll Always Love You. I would say first track on the album, without getting into it, is Janie, and that I would say is probably also one of my favorites from the album. But this is like such an insane level of favorite, what I feel for this song. Okay. The first moment that like I could listen to it on loop, like the way that people were listening to Mario Kart music while they were writing essays, we could loop this 15 seconds of audio and I could get a master's degree. I could do probably I am my most productive listening to this 15 seconds of audio. It's the way she hits, you were there looking for, so it's verse 1, end of verse 1. You were there looking for me, but I was gone. The way she hits, turn my back for a moment, and you just got to go listen to it yourself. The way it's I'm definitely being dramatic about it. I don't know if anyone else feels the same way, but it makes my stomach hurt. It's so beautiful. I really like... Okay, now I'll get a little intertextual with it. Because I think there's also a lot of verses. I guess that's part of why it's been so... in my head all day too, is like, well, for one, it's 15 minutes, which is the perfect amount of time for the whole song to be different from itself. And so it like you sort of fluidly move through it, and by the time you're at the end, you're ready for the beginning again, which is really cool and not something that I'd ever thought about. So the other long songs that are in my arsenal that I love are Night Shift. Like the first that occurs to me is Night Shift from Lucy Dacus. And then there's I Dreamed a Highway from, I think, Gillian Welsh. Both are long and very, very enjoyable throughout. But I feel like they are... You listen all the way through and you're in a world and you're in the same world. And I don't know, I feel yucky comparing, and then because then now I feel like I'm undercutting those songs. Those songs are my favorite long songs for a reason. Something that stands out to me about this song and the fact that it's 15 minutes long, because frankly I don't know if I would be standing on a 15-minute song so hardcore if I didn't feel like we're in this world and we travel through the world so much. And I just was like driving to work today thinking about like, it's crazy to feel so deeply that you are like in a world and moving around in it and just so there in such a visceral way, just based alone in audio. The amount that is accomplished with the lyricism and sonically in tandem cracks my brain open. It's insane. The guitar, the sound of the guitar throughout, you know, I always have to talk about it. I really like it. It's the classic, not classic, but it's classic for me. Every time I say I like the way a guitar sounds, this is basically what I mean. Where it's got sort of the riffy like yeah, I know. I did a really bad job of communicating what I'm talking about. But once again, we always come back to just go listen to it. Take my word for it. I feel so comfortable on these New Music Friday live streams sometimes. Not necessarily because, again, it's like I'm not the authority. Like, you don't need to listen to me. You just need to listen to what I'm telling you to listen to. Like, I'm standing on that so solidly that it's like, well, yes, I'm being a little bit verbose and annoying in my telling you to do it, to telling you to go listen, but I'm firmly planted in the fact that this is solid suggestion, recommendation material. Live and Die by a TV no one's watching. Crazy. Let me see. I'm at this point just scrolling through the lyrics and reading you hits. Okay. Yeah. Okay. We're all going to put on our berets and be prepared to snap, right? We are entering poetry club territory. I do feel disgustingly earnest a little bit reading lyrics straight from Genius to you on live stream right now, but let's just go ahead and do it. To be known the way you should is to put yourself through hell. Crazy. Just kind of crazy. I think it's just kind of a crazy thing to say. Beautiful. I love the fact that we can sort of, very similar to Richard Sykin, the way that you can say something so heavy and poetic and kind of build up to it in a way that is makes it satisfying rather than sort of like grit my teeth cringe or feel like you're wallowing. No, it just really is like, which isn't to diss being earnest or vulnerable or wallowy. But sometimes I think everyone knows what I mean. When it's like, sometimes it's like a lot, right? And we're like, it's like when people talk about cursive singing, they call it online, you know? It's like that come to life with language, where it's, you're not really saying anything, but you're trying to say something, which, once again, nothing wrong with being earnest. I think it's actually really cool and great. But if you're not accomplishing saying something profound, but it is very clear that the artist is trying to, well, just sometimes that's a miss, right? Because, I mean, we can just all agree, based on how I described it, that you're trying to do something and failing. And sometimes, which is fine. There's no shame in that game. But point being, would say that, like, pretty consistently, similarly to Richard Sykin, Ethel Cain, it's just consistently all the way through pretty profound. Like, all of the, we're doing extended metaphor, we are doing direct language, we are being simple and concise, but also long and drawn out when it's appropriate, and you can just, it makes the impact every time. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. And yeah, the line, to be known the way you should is to put yourself through hell. It feels like something you could read in the diary of a sixth grader, kind of, but it also feels like something that a lot of people can relate to and feel in their stomach in an upsetting and crazy way. And you get handheld and walked to and fro through that feeling with insane prose that backs it up and underscores it. And then, of course, the music. There's the music. One of the craziest producers I've ever had the pleasure of listening to. I have been so in this world, sonically, I guess, like music-wise, for all month. And, yeah, I don't have the capability. I can't be normal about it. So I'm going to leave it at that. So those are the highlights. circling back because I just very much went on a tangent. The recommendations for today are the new Hayley Williams album, primarily, and then the new Zach Bryan Kings of Leon track, and Do As I Say, Not As I Do. I'm going to recommend the new Field Medic album, Surrender Instead. I've listened to the first track. I like Field Medic. Excited about that album. And then Ada Leah's When I Paint My Masterpiece. Those are the highlights. Thank you for coming to my town hall. I'm going to wrap it up. I hope you have a great rest of your day and a great weekend, and I will talk to you all again Monday. Goodbye.